Hello, welcome. Thanks for watching. I'm Sarah. I'm a certified yoga teacher with over 20 years of experience. And a lot of the times people ask me what to do about back pain. And it is not a simple answer because everyone's back pain is different and it comes from a different source and different imbalance, a different problem. So what I'm going to attempt to do in this video is to give you kind of the safe, foolproof way of dealing with back pain. I will explain some of the principles that might be causing your back pain in yoga poses and give you some ideas as of what to look for and how to modify. But please listen to your body, look for the advice of a qualified medical professional or an experienced yoga teacher that can work with you one-on-one and really get some feedback as to what your experience is in your body and then be able to give you specific adjustments for your needs. So the first thing that I tell everyone is kind of safe to do and the most it brings relief. If you're suffering from lower back pain, is to just lay down with your calf muscles over a chair, a coffee table, or something that's kind of low, and rest here. This alone is going to release a lot of the tension and bring you immediate relief. Stay here for a good 10, 20 minutes even, just allowing all of the grips of the pelvis and the hips and the lower back to just kind of melt into the floor. So that's the first advice that I can give you that is kind of just available to pretty much anyone with back pain and will not cause any harm. So if you don't know what to do this. If you are in pain, do this. And do this in a therapeutic way too. If you do this on a regular basis, a few minutes a day, it might actually help improve your condition. The next exercise that I find is oftentimes available and brings a little bit of relief to people with back pain, and it's very safe, is very simple. You lay down with your knees towards your chest. Inhale, legs up. Exhale, knees in. When the knees come in, they give you a very gentle stretch in your lower back. And it's going to feel really good. At the same time, you're stretching the hamstrings a little bit. A lot of the times, the reason that the lower back is tight is because the hamstrings are tight. And this is just the beginning. I'm going to do another hamstring and hip opening exercise in a second. But this begins to warm up the hamstrings. It brings mobility to the spine. You're not asking the body to do anything too challenging. Inhale, it goes up. Exhale, knees into the chest. Another exercise that's very helpful is to take your arms out to the side like airplane wings and then open your feet as wide as the mat and very gently drop the knees to the right. Inhale, center, drop the knees to the left. And once again, that's going to bring a little bit of mobility to the lower back, but it's also going to begin to open the hips and the hip flexors right through the front here. You'll feel some tightness because a lot of the times, the reason that the lower back is hurting is not necessarily that the problem is here. The problem is in the front of the hips. The problem is in the hamstrings. A lot of other muscles are tight, and so your pelvis is not providing an open and stable enough foundation for your spine. And so your spine begins to grip and compensate and tighten up around the lower back. And so when you work with lower back pain, it's not just the lower back that you're targeting. It's actually the entire section of the pelvis, the back of the legs a lot, and also the upper back. I won't get to that part in this video because I want to just focus on exercises that bring relief. The other exercise that's super helpful and very, very safe is to take a strap and hook it over your right foot. And you have 3 leg positions here. First is legs straight up, one end of the strap on each hand. You're going to stretch the hamstring, you're going to stretch the calf. You set a timer for a minute on each leg position. The whole exercise should take you about 6 minutes. So this is position 1. You hold this for 1 minute. Then you hold the strap on the right hand. So if it's your right leg, you're holding the strap on your right hand and you go out to the right. This elbow comes to the floor at shoulder height. And you flex the foot and extend your inner leg. You're gonna feel this in your hip area, the front of your hip, your groin, your inner leg. If you don't go as low as I do, that's okay. Go as far as you can. Trying to keep this left hip on the floor. But if the hip lifts a little so that the leg goes lower, it's not going to be the end of the world. You just want to make sure that there's no grips on this side of the lower back if that's happening. So you kind of have to find a balance between how much of a stretch you get on the right leg versus how much of a grip you get on the back of the left side of the body. So that's position 2. And then position 3 is you keep the same leg on the strap, but then you switch hands and you go over and across. Now this is going to be a deep stretch for this whole lower back area and the outer hip. It might even be a little too much if you have back pain. So I would say if that's too much, forget the strap, just bend the knee and very gently try and stretch this whole area by using your hand to bring the knee down. I'll do the same exercise on the other side so that you can see more clearly. Again, first left leg goes up on the strap. You hold here for about a minute. Then you hold the strap with your left hand. You go out to the side and you hold here for about a minute. And then you come to center and you go over and across, for which you have to change your hands and take this elbow down to the floor. If this proves to be a little bit too much, forget the strap, just bend the knee and very gently. You don't want to twist, you don't really want to crack your back. You just want to stretch all the muscles of the lower back and outer hip here. After you're done with those exercises, you always bring your knees to your chest. And then you stay here with your lower back releasing into the floor. And you let all of that tension of the hips melt by softening your hip creases, your groin, the pelvic floor. That's going to bring relief to the lower back. Another option that I find very helpful is to do down dog with your heels at the wall. Now this one assumes that you have enough upper body strength to engage your arms and shoulder girdle properly, which I explain on another video, my down dog tutorial, but let's assume that you do for these purposes. You take your toes about 2 inches away from the wall and your heels at the wall, so your feet are at an angle here. You press your hands, and if you can, bring your toes together, your heels together, press your hands and lift your hips. Now you can bend the knees a little bit. If you have tight hamstrings, bend the knees and just lift your hips high. And depending on a lot of other factors in your body, you might be able to access the lower back in that position and create a little bit of length. Other than that, you always have child's pose, but again, that depends on your quads. A lot of times, if your quads are tight, then you're not going to be able to get to your lower back in child's pose. But if you can, it might be helpful to take your hands to the right, your hips a little bit to the left, and go to the other side. That's going to help you get a stretch through here. You also have Janu Shirshasana, which is head to knee pose, where you take your right leg out and your left leg in. Now this one's a little tricky because a lot of times if you have lower back pain, this position might be upward. You might be something like this and you can't even get there because your hamstring is so tight and your outer hip is hurting. So to try and get a stretch of the lower back is not going to be that easy, but it depends on how you're built. For some of you, this might be helpful. The idea is to just fold forward towards this foot until you get a stretch out here. Since that's not always available to people, I'm also going to give you some ideas as to how you can prop up the pose to access your lower back. So if you sit on 1, 2, 3 blankets, maybe even sit on a bolster if you have a really tight body, that's going to help you tilt your pelvis forward. Another thing is you might not want to take the leg all the way out. You might want to keep it a little bit in front of you, and that might give you a better chance of accessing the lower back. And or you can put something under this knee, whether it's a block, a bolster, a blanket, or something that bends the knee so then this hamstring is a little bit more comfortable, and then it's now going to allow you to just go forward. If you can't go forward towards the foot, you can always try and go forward in the middle, but it's really moving over to the side that's going to allow you to get a stretch through the lower back here. If this leg doesn't want to come all the way out, you can always take the leg a little bit forward and just let this hip relax and then try and go that way. So this would be like a modified variation of this pose. If you can't reach your foot, you can always grab the strap. So as you can see, the variation that you will need depends on a lot of factors as to how you're built. But the idea is that you go into a position somewhat like this, which we call Janu Shirshasana. You fold your forehead to the knee. For some of you, it will look like this, and that's going to allow you to access your back. For some of you, you might be able to just go all the way out like this. It depends a lot on how you're built. There's also some back strengthening exercises that you can do, but these last few poses, from down dog to this Janu Shirshasana to the one that I'm doing next, I would say just be very, very mindful, because now we're going into territory that requires a lot of awareness as of, what you're feeling in your body, so these poses don't end up making things worse. But one of the most gentle back strengthening exercises is to go onto your belly, arms by your side, and then inhale, lift your chest, exhale, lower down, inhale, lift, exhale, lower. And you do as many of these as you feel comfortable without gripping the muscles of your lower back. Instead, you're trying to use your upper back as well. So you distribute the effort. Your feet are pressing into the floor, your knees are firm, your pelvis is stable, and you use your breath. Inhale, exhale, inhale up, exhale down. And then always after you do this, rest in child's pose. Release all the tension from those contractions in your lower back. And when you're finished with whatever practice and whichever ones of these poses you choose to do, then you can always rest in Shavasana like I showed you at the beginning. Always, always rest your back like this at the end of any back strengthening and back stretching sequence, to let the whole pelvis and lower back area come back to a neutral place. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you find this video helpful. Please visit my website, sarayogaandwellness.com. See you next time. Namaste.